Hi, Daniel Chiang here, coming to you from Line Sniper to give you a quick preview and update on what we're doing with the Sweet 16 and kind of where our portfolio lies today. So, our portfolio did fairly well during the first couple rounds. I would say, in general, our quick analysis that the top teams in the tournament weren't going to perform super well and there were going to be a lot of upsets, particularly with COVID and this environment, turned out to be correct. In fact, one of our teams even DQ'd from the tournament given the COVID concerns, VCU versus Oregon in the first round. And you saw a lot of teams having a few or one of their star players out for COVID, and a lot of those teams not being able to come back strong. So in general, we had a few good games, a few bad games, but a pretty average run out from our scenario, or, maybe even a little bit worse. So who do we have left going into the Sweet 16, and kind of what do our chances look like today? In this first matchup in the South region, we have Baylor versus Villanova. We have a small bet on Villanova to make the Final Four to win about $11K against Baylor. Now, that's still looking kind of unlikely. Baylor has looked like the much better team, and if we look at the game lines very quickly, we'll see that Baylor versus Villanova is a 6.5 point dog, so they're about a 2.75 to 1 underdog. So, not the best chances there, but we'll take it. We think that's a fairly good game. This other game in Arkansas versus Oral Roberts is an awesome game for us. Oral Roberts made kind of the Cinderella run of the tournament so far as the 15th seed to make the Sweet 16. I think one of the first teams to ever do that. And they're going to be a big underdog versus Arkansas in this third Sweet 16 round. We have both teams, so we're not super worried. We have Oral Roberts to make the Final Four for about $100,000 and Arkansas to make the Final Four for about $21,000. Now, Arkansas is clearly the favorite team, so in terms of expected value, actually Arkansas is a better play for us, even though Oral Roberts is the team that's going to have us a bigger payout. As you can see, Oral Roberts is an 11-point dog, about a 5 to 1 underdog in this game. Now, Oral Roberts has been even a bigger underdog earlier in the tournament, so don't count them out in this game. 5 to 1 underdog, they can for sure win, but it's nice to have both teams on this game, so we won't be sweating it too much and be happy regardless of the result that occurs. But we're definitely rooting for Villanova in the third round, and we're probably rooting for small Arkansas, but we'll take Oral Roberts as well. Midwest region. This is where we have both teams as pretty sizable plays for us. Oregon State versus Loyola Chicago. This is one of the conferences that we called really well early in the year. If you remember, we bet Oregon State to win this, to make the Final Four or win this region at 200 to 1. Now, if we look at their to make Final Four odds currently, we'll see that Oregon State is approximately, call it 7 to 1 right now. So 201 to 7 to 1 is a massive swing. So we bet to win 100,000 on that. So, we probably have around 10,000, 11,000 of equity right now. And they're going to be a small underdog to Loyola Chicago. If we look at the game lines currently, we'll see that Loyola Chicago, they're a 6.5 point underdog. It's important to note that this game actually opened up 7.5. So people have been betting Oregon State in this game. So, the sharps think that that's a little bit too much to lay. They're going to be approximately a 2.5 to 1 underdog as well in this game. So, definitely the underdog in this game, but I would give them definitely a fighting chance and think that they're probably a reasonable size play to win this game. The next game that we have is Houston versus Syracuse. Houston is one of those teams that, we really like going into the year. And as you can see in the second round, barely scraped through Rutgers, but had a really nice rally finish to finish off the game. So where do we lie on this game? Houston is going to be a 6-point favorite over Syracuse. Syracuse has Bohein's son, who's kind of their star player and has been shooting lights out, but Houston has a really staunch defense. Similarly to other games, probably a 2.25 to 1 favorite, so we're feeling good in this game. If you remember, we bet $1,000 at 4 to 1 for Houston to make the Final Four, so that will net us a 5,000 take back, and we also have some plays for Houston to win it all, about 10,000. So, that'll be a nice scenario. This right side of the bracket has worked out really well for us. Really, all we're trying to fade is this Baylor win on top and this Loyola Chicago win and Syracuse win. So we'll be watching those three games very intently, and we'll definitely root for Arkansas, probably small, but an Oral Roberts win is not the end of the world. Now, this left side of the bracket is where things haven't gone so well for us. I'll also talk about a few of the bad beats that we had in the first round at the end of the video. But if we look at this game here, Gonzaga has been performing as Gonzaga has all year as a dominant team in the NCAA. We were hoping that Gonzaga had a bad tournament and probably, was closer in one of these early 2 games. But going against Creighton in the 3rd round, they're a 14-point favorite, so big favorite in this game. As you can see, midpoint probably like a 9-1 favorite or something like that. So we're not giving Creighton too big of a chance to win there. And then some of the other games in this side of the bracket have really played out bad for us. We had Kansas, that ended up losing, and also we had a few teams over here. Oregon is actually a good result for us. If you remember, we bet them 50-1 to win their region. If we look now, they've probably traded quite significantly down to about 6-1. So definitely has traded down, moved in our favor, but they have a tough road ahead with Gonzaga and as well as USC. So we're rooting for the underdogs in this bracket. As you'll see kind of throughout the bracket, most of the games that we're rooting for, we're always rooting for the underdog. Is a safe bet for us. And then this east side of the bracket has also played out fairly, okay for us, but, not the best. If you remember very early on in the series, we had we had Michigan State to make it quite far. We had BYU to make it and Colorado. Unfortunately, you can see Colorado and BYU kind of fell by the wayside, but we still have UCLA fighting in there. So where do we bet these teams at? UCLA is the only team that we have left in this side of the bracket. We bet UCLA $2,000 to win 50 at 25-1 after the first round. So they're still in there fighting. They're, not a big underdog versus Alabama at all. We'll see they're a 6-point underdog, probably 2.3-1 underdogs in this game. Definitely a fighting chance, very strong team. I wouldn't count them out at all. So as you can see, we have a lot of positions still left if we count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4 with Oregon State, 5 with Houston, 6 with UCLA, 7 with Oregon, 8 with Creighton. So we have about 8 teams left out of the 16, half the field left to win the tournament. So our portfolio is still looking strong. And a bunch of our big positions have traded up in terms of total net wins. Oral Roberts, Oregon State, Arkansas was a good position for us, and obviously UCLA. So those are the positions that we still have left in the tournament. It's looking quite good, and we'll definitely keep you updated as the tournament goes on. Now, a few of the bad beats for us and really have kind of swung the bracket probably to a less favorable run out for us. The first game that I'll talk about is Purdue. We had a massive position on Purdue to win it all, if you'll remember from a few of the other videos in the series. Now, Purdue lost in overtime. If you look at the first round, I believe we had 3 or 4 teams lose in overtime, which I would definitely categorize as bad beats, as, they were all favorites in the games, and, overtime should be kind of a 50-50 proposition. I think if you stacked them all up, Purdue, Michigan State, we also had Virginia Tech that lost very late, and we had one more team that lost, but I'm just forgetting it off the top of my head in the first round. Virginia also lost in the first round. But whatever the case may be, if you stack it all up, that's, a 3-team 50% parlay, let's call it. That's 6-1 underdogs. And, we ran out bad in that scenario, and all of our teams were favorites. So we were probably, 5-10% for that to happen. And, that's probably what I would call a pretty bad run out. Even with, some of the unfavorable runouts in our scenario, our portfolio is still definitely plus money right now. And that just shows you the power of betting teams at good prices and building up a long-term strategy to win over the long run. So we'll keep you updated. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an update on kind of how our teams are doing so far and keep you engaged. We'll definitely have some watch-alongs for the series so that you can kind of watch these teams as they play, and we'll give you some live betting feedback. And you'll see if we hedge out any of these positions going further into the tournament. Finally, what I'd say is like and subscribe to our channel so you can get the most up-to-date information on when we place bets and when we get information that you can tail. And, keep following us during the tournament. We have some big $100,000 plus winners to talk about. So thanks so much. See you next time.